Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the first webinar about the campaign that we are about to launch, Sowing Hope for the Planet. I'm Patrizia Morgante, the Communication Officer of the UISG, and I'm very pleased to welcome Sister Sheila Kinsey. Welcome, Sister Sheila.
Well, thank you so much, Patricia. I am so happy to be here. It's a privilege for me to help launch this campaign for UISG, Sowing Hope for the Planet. I'm a Franciscan sister, and I am the Executive Co-Secretary of the JPISA Commission for both USG and UISG. So let us begin with this launching. Laudato Si. Everything is interconnected. And so we hope to bring forth in our lives then in new ways and a way together what this encyclical Laudato Si can mean for our lives. And I would like to begin then with a prayer. A prayer for our earth. All-powerful God, you are present in the whole universe and in the smallest of your creatures. You embrace with your tenderness all that exists. Pour out upon us the power of your love, that we may protect life and beauty. Fill us with peace, that we may live as brothers and sisters, harming no one. O God of the poor, help us to rescue the abandoned and forgotten of this earth, so precious in your eyes. Bring healing to our lives, that we may protect the world and not prey on it, that we may sow beauty, not pollution and destruction. Touch the hearts of those who look only for gain at the expense of the poor and the earth. Teach us to discover the worth of each thing, to be filled with awe and contemplation, to recognize that we are profoundly united with every creature as we journey towards your infinite light. We thank you for being with us each day. Encourage us, we pray, in our struggle for justice, love, and peace. Amen. Thank you, Pope Francis, for these moving words that we can find in Laudato Si. Now, this is a collaborative effort that we're about, and there's two major organizations involved in working together. One is, as I mentioned, the JPIC Commission for UISG and USG. And the other one, which I will announce and give a little information about, is the Global Catholic Climate Movement. But when we think about our work with the JPIC Commission, we have a definition that really helps us focus what it is that we do. And this is how we define ourselves. JPIC is the conscious prayer and action to transform the world in the spirit of the gospel through our lives of justice, peace, and care for the integrity of creation. So it's about interconnectedness. So we've been striving to do this for years. So then following along with the message from Laudato Si, this reinforces the work that we have been doing and continuing to do with the promoters here, with our formation programs, and the connections that we have throughout the world. The other collaborator with us is the Global Catholic Climate Movement. And their focus is bringing Laudato Si to life for climate justice. So you can see already how good it is that the two of us are working together. And the Global Catholic Climate Movement serves then the Catholic family worldwide in their efforts to turn Pope Francis' Laudato Si into action for climate justice by calling us to undergo our own ecological conversion, by transforming our lifestyles, and calling for bold public policies together with the wider climate movement. So you can see there's a lot of energy around this group, this climate movement, as well as an interconnection and a way that they see their spirituality becoming alive in the world today. So we are partnering with each other to promote this campaign with UISG. So what is this about? Sowing hope for the planet. So this was an effort that was proposed by the UISG board and a project in which every sister whose congregation is a member of UISG, that's the Sisters Religious Group, and their connections are provided then with an opportunity to make a difference in our care of the planet. And as Pope Francis reminds us, everything is interconnected. And who best to be working in this area when we have international congregations who have connections throughout the world to bring this effort together as a focus, calling on each of us, our sisters, to be a part of this effort, this campaign of sowing hope for the planet. And as you can see by this illustration, there are many areas in which this can really happen. So what does this sowing mean? And I think we need to take a little bit of understanding from the parable of the sower when Jesus speaks to us in the scriptures. So Jesus, when he sowed, he just sowed it everywhere. And so we're about doing the same thing. In a sense, so we're looking at our own lives and we're looking at the areas in which we are sowing, both within ourselves, our souls, as well as all those contexts we have. So sowing the seeds, sometimes it will fall on a path where the birds will eat it up. So we have to see, we're sowing the truth, but sometimes it will be misplaced or taken away and saying, don't listen to that. That's not true. But we continue to sow. We sow then maybe with rocks. And so what happens, we can become very enthused, but our roots can't take place and the sun will scorch us and we will die. The enthusiasm will not continue on, but we have to find ways to bring it again to life. Another thing may happen that the seed will be sown in an area where there are thorns or weeds or whatever and grow up and become choked and say, oh, I don't have time for this. I got other things that I need to be doing. Or there can be many cares in the world, or I can make more money doing something else. Why do I have to pay attention to the problems that are happening to our world? Or the seed may sow itself on very fertile ground. Go deep, have a deeper understanding, be listening to the Word of God, and help make changes then in our lives. So we are sowing in all these places, and all these places are in our hearts too in various ways. So we engage then in a campaign of sowing hope for the planet. So this is what St. Francis is calling us to, much of a deeper conversion. He calls us to something that he has very carefully underlined, the fundamental connection that exists between the environmental crisis and social crisis. So we have to see that these two are integrally connected. And because of this, he wants us to experience what is happening. And because of that experience, he asks us to have a personal and a community ecological conversion. So the seed is going to be sowing deep in our hearts, and it's going to the community, the neighborhoods, the cities, wherever we are, beyond our institutions. We are looking further out for this ecological conversion and for the places that we are be sowing those seeds. So in sowing this hope for the planet, we are witnessing to our reasons for hope. And that's why Laudato Si is so important. We're taking guidance from Laudato Si. and we have this goal in mind. It's not about gaining a lot of information to satisfy our curiosity, but to become aware, so aware that we determine to turn what is happening to our world to our own personal suffering and to discover what each of us can do about it. So the conversion is really taking a deep root within ourselves for the good of the planet, for the good of those who are suffering. So we will see and be open to what is happening. We will be able to make judgments because we are taking in information that matters, that is critical. We are taking it to prayer. And then from our sensitive hearts, we are determining some action that each of us can do. Every action will matter, no matter what it is, because we are in this together. Our interconnectedness of our international communities with our sisters, our institutions, and all those with whom we work and live. So we have some objectives now for this program. The first one is to create a coordinated effort with the members of UISG. And so very important, we need resources so that the sisters in all parts of the world can have access to the study of the encyclical Laudato Si. So we're encouraging you to revisit Laudato Si, which is in all the languages, and then find some resources which we will have posted that you can use for reflection, both personally and in the reflect process. We're going to be looking at what are the best ways to communicate what's happening in our various areas. And we're going to publicize various responses. Would you like to?
Sheila, I think we have some internet problem. We can't hear you well. Sheila? I think that we have a problem of connection.
Yeah.
Just
we're there.
You freeze.
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
No, but we were there until, what you were talking, so you can start again. Can you hear me well?
Okay, it's restored.
Yeah.
Where do I have to go back to? Yeah.
You are in the objectives, and we could listen to them.
Close any unused internet. Let me just see if there's anything else. It said I have to close any unused internet applications or switch to telephone, it says. Oh, brother. This is a good experience because we were thinking that I could do this like in the state. I don't know. Let me see. Can I see if I have anything open? I tried to close everything. Let me just see if that's, hold on. Should I, or what? Should I just start from objectives?
That's, now we could listen until,
this one, Sowing Hope for the Planet?
Yeah, no. The objectives we heard the first one, so you can go ahead from the second.
Okay, so the website. Okay, so then the second part here is to create a coordinated effort. And from that, then we're encouraging congregations, especially the leadership needs to be informed, but we need to have a person designated to help coordinate the campaign for each of the congregations. If you have a JPIC coordinator already in place, that person would be very likely involved in this campaign. But if not, then choose someone that will help give the information out, help coordinate it, help people to know what's taking place so that everybody can feel that they're a part of this campaign. And then we will evaluate the fruitfulness. So there will be a survey coming out online that will be completed the end of April. so that we can have an idea of what's taking place and be able to use that when we have the assembly. And as you can see on the bottom of this screen, these are the websites that were listed for you to go ahead and find information, both from UISG, from the Global Catholic Climate Movement, and from the JPIC Roma. So continue throughout this whole effort that you can find coordination in those websites. The second objective is to partner with organizations already working on care for the planet. And although we are collaborating together, we just certainly don't want to be alone in this. And so many of you are working with different organizations, and we want to make those connections with those organizations so that our voice is even stronger and that we are working together and not separately nor in isolation from what other groups are doing. And then finally, the third objective is to develop a statement for this campaign of Sowing Hope for the Planet that will be adopted by the board of UISG through the input, through the promotion of the membership, and it's hoped to be ratified then in the May Assembly when they are gathered here in Rome, and then to use this document going forward for another year to really carry out what it is that we have promised to do. So we have already begun some actions based on our objectives. So the webinar that you are experiencing now is one of the first actions to Sowing Hope for the Planet. The second one is coming up shortly, and many of the UISG and also the USG members will be participating in this international conference on the third anniversary of Laudato Si, and it's called Saving Our Common Home and the Future of Earth, of Life on Earth. And the Dicastery of Integral Human Development is really working to prepare this major event. And we hope we will be receiving some guidance and direction from this event. And in fact, there will be a chance for some of the participants in this event on July 9th at 9:30 to be able to share that experience and what that has meant for them and also for this campaign of Sowing Hope for the Planet. And we ourselves are also working with the Dicastery on other issues that will be able to be coming forward when we have it more formalized. And other actions here, and these are webinars that have already been thought about and are in the process of being planned, and to not only to give information, but to also talk about what religious orders are doing. So as we continue the launching effort, we're going to be receiving information about what people are doing, and we want to be able to share that. So as examples and give people ideas and guidance about what they also may be thinking about doing. So we want to affirm what's already taking place. And the witness then, to be really viable, needs to be in the context of prayer and actions. So already on the JPIC Roma website, we have the prayer that we had prayed earlier in this webinar on the prayer for Earth in the 4 languages of English, Italian, Spanish, and French. So as people become aware of different prayers and they want us to post them or to give links to them, that's important to have that feeling that we are in this together and in many ways using the same words or are dealing with the same realities. But another event that's coming up, and already there's information available on the season of creation. It's a season that goes from September 1 to October 4th. And there's a major event being planned in Assisi to inaugurate this event with other religious groups, World Council of Churches, a representative from our Archbishop Bartholomew, other groups that we are asking to participate in this event. And it's really important because the theme for this season of creation is walking together. And we will launch then our pilgrims who will be going from Assisi to Gubbio, and then from there to Poland for COP24, which they will be talking about what's happening with these promises that we made in an effort to deal with climate change. So that's important. And the reason why the walk from Assisi to Gubbio is important, because in the history of St. Francis, he divested himself of his clothes at that site in Assisi, and the bishop took him under his arms and clothed him. But Francis then walked from Assisi to Gubbio in an effort to really think through what is his spirituality and what it is that he's trying to do to make a difference, to divest himself of material things, and in order to begin his journey going forward. So this witness then, in the context of prayer and action, another day of celebration is Earth Day, which is on the 22nd of April, and many resources will be available for that. And then this will be the event then that we will close with just evaluating what has taken place this year in terms of fruitfulness. So witnessing this in the context of prayer and action, there are already some suggestions for us to undertake. And these are only suggestions. You will be thinking about many more things as well. But the use of plastic bags, which was given for a few of our international observance days this year, to reduce the use of plastic bags, the use of plastic straws. Think of ways that we can help save the environment and not have the creatures, particularly those in the ocean and in waterways, eating these plastics and having that kill them, because this is not their food, although they may think it is. So we can be looking at the plastic bags. We can be looking at possibly other industries that can begin to make use of these plastic bags and recycle them. Also, can we take advantage of a certain area to keep it clean? And the last one here is to promote the country commitments, which were made in COP21, the Conference of the Partners, that we were to target limiting our global warming emissions to well below 2 degrees Celsius. And even though countries have, in some parts, have decided they didn't want to continue with these promises, the individual states, cities, churches, institutions are saying, we believe that we have made this promise and we're going to continue to keep that, because we feel our responsibility towards reducing the emissions for global warming. Witnesses in the context of prayer and programs. So there are a couple that we'd like to promote, particularly through the Global Catholic Climate Movement. There is a Laudato Si pledge, which is encompassing 3 areas, which is praying for and with creation, to live more simply, to advocate, to protect our common home. And you can find that on the Global Catholic Climate website. And also the Laudato Si Animators program, which is a year-long program, but has webinars, has information, has encouragement for action within parishes and with communities. There is opportunities to engage in conversations, to share what they're doing, to ask for help. In the end, there's a certificate for that program. But it's a very fine online training program that some of you may want to consider, as well. Is part of the campaign effort. And something that will take a little bit more prayerful discernment and has a major effect on lifestyle changes, is to engage in some kind of energy audit to the buildings and begin to find out what things you could do to change the energy use in your constructions or new constructions that will help reduce the emissions of carbon and greenhouse gases. Also, there is the encouragement to do some divesting of fossil fuels being determined as coal, gas, and oil. So those countries that have investments, to consider that divestment of those in some way or other, either partial or complete, or consider a plan for their divestment, and then to look at alternative and reinvestment places for energy that's renewable. So those areas demand a little bit more thinking and reflecting and involvement of community members. And so we want to celebrate what has been done. So throughout this time of the campaign, to acknowledge and share what is already being done, and to share these experiences and the best of practices. So who's going to benefit from this whole effort, this campaign? Well, our Mother Earth, our Sister Earth, certainly is going to benefit by our creative actions to pull together then the issues related to the environment and social concerns, and to do this in a persistent way, not just one time, but to be carrying it on throughout the campaign. Personally, the sisters will be able to benefit from this. They're going to be able to deepen their commitment already and their reference for all of creation, and determine, as Pope Francis has asked us to do, what each of us can do in terms of caring for creation. The third is that those involved in congregations, both locally and internationally, will benefit from receiving from the same information, praying, reflecting together, and making choices for the good of all creation. So the importance of being able to go to the websites and being able to share the information, and to being able to have someone within your congregation really looking out and animating this event, either the JPIC promoter or someone whom your religious leader has chosen to help carry forward this campaign. The institutions and ministries and networks that will then benefit because of the directions and implementations being determined by the congregations. Local and national areas will benefit because the reach is wider than our institutions, so that we can continue to make commitments for the bettering and the care of our planet Earth, in terms of what's happening with our environment and with the social needs that we see need to be addressed. In the international organization, United Nations, many of us have connections to the United Nations who are promoting efforts on an international, global scene, and we can support their efforts by what we're doing locally and giving them information, and then we can be able to be partners with them as they deal with areas that are in the purview of the United Nations. The whole world, our church, will benefit because of the examples that we wish to promote and to publicize, to that demonstrate hope for the planet. So give people ideas, but there's a strength in being able to have a voice together to say that we're working together on an issue that really, really matters to us and matters to the world, and certainly responding from our call, from our Pope Francis, to take this conversion both personally and within our communities. This is an ecological conversion. And in the eighth beneficiary, it will be that by our example, our own ecological conversion, that we witness the value of what we are doing in such a way that we may encourage others to be committed to sowing hope for the planet, so that it will go beyond us and can help make a difference for what's happening in our world. And we know everything is interconnected. Laudato says this: the entire material universe. God speaks to us with love, in the affection that is shown to us through the soil, through the planets, through the water, through the mountain. All of the universe. We are a part of a much larger area of creation, and that we want to be respectful and reverence and be persons of gratitude for what God has given us, and really have a personal and a community ecological conversion, that it reaches really beyond the institutions to the places where we live. And as we said, no effort is too small, as we can see from this little mustard seed, that we are asked to determine what each one of us can do. And as you can see here from the mustard seed, there comes this mustard tree, which grows and holds birds and all kinds of living things and can be a source of shade. So it's about taking root deep within our hearts, within our souls, and letting the grace of God, the work of God, take root in us and have it flourish, because this is the work of God. Our growth is the work of God as we strive to be instruments of hope for our planet, as we sow hope for the planet. So that we hope then at the time in May that was in the sharing that takes place, we will have a fruitful harvest that is shown here, because we have allowed that seed to take root in our own selves, and that we have shared that uh, personal conversion and invited others to also be engaged in the conversion to make a difference for our planet. So indeed, we are sowers of hope for our planet. So this is an effort of UISG. It's a collaborative effort then with the Commission of UISG and USG, as well as the Global Catholic Climate Movement. And we all are inviting you to be participants in this wonderful campaign. Thank you so much for listening to us.
Thank you very much, Sheila. I hope you can restart your video camera so we can see your face. Thank you very much. And I want just to highlight that Sister Sheila is the coordinator for the UISG for this campaign. So she will be in charge for that until 2019. And I'm very sorry for the small technical problems that we had. And also during the webinar that was held June 18th, we had some technical problems. So we couldn't record this webinar. This is why we are sending in late this recorded video. But I'm very pleased that Sister Sheila was able to be with us here again, to be with us. And Sheila, I have some questions. We will show to people at the end of this webinar the resources that we are preparing as UISG to spread this campaign as much as possible. And so in French and English, in Spanish and Italian, we hope so. We hope also to have something in Portuguese. Perhaps before the plenary, because we know that during the plenary of UISG in May, that will be from 6 to 10, we will have the opportunity to dedicate a time of reflection and listening to how the sisters throughout the world are working for the care of creation, the care of how our home. So this is the first question, Sister Sheila. Actually, this encyclical from Pope Francis has changed a lot the idea of cosmos, the relationship among not only human beings and nature is wider, because the slogan of our campaign is everything is interconnected. Can you tell us something more about that?
Well, I think the encyclical and itself, Laudato Si, was written in a way that tried to connect what was going on in the world prior to the COP21, which was about the climate change. So there was a meeting in Addis Ababa on finances that was beginning to look at how can they help developing countries really deal with alternative energies. The Pope also came to the United States prior to the meeting of the United Nations, where they were looking at issues related to climate change. And then the push then at Paris, at the COP21, to see that we need all of our countries to come together and to make a difference. So the interconnecting is both on a policy area that we need to be connecting with our own countries, as well as realizing the importance of how we deal with those who are poor and how we care with our planet, with the environment, that these two are intricately connected, so that our efforts, all of our efforts, in one way, we are looking to see how they connect with one another. So when we look at the mining area, for example, and the destruction of the environment, and what happens to the indigenous people when land is taken from them, that is not just looking at the indigenous people or the citizens or those who are poor, that their environment is destroyed, that we have to continue to look at both elements, not just one or the other. So if we advocate on, we need to clear up the pollution or contamination, well, we also have to look at people's jobs and how can we protect those jobs or make those jobs safe. So those are important things that we look out for the livelihood of the people, even as we advocate for change.
That's right. Thank you very much. After launching the campaign that was launched, the English material was launched June 19, so just three days ago, we have been receiving a lot of comments and testimonies from sisters throughout the world, because they are already working in this field. So the effort, Sister Sheila, with your help, will be just to network and connect and give visibility to the huge work that religious sisters are already doing in this field. Am I right?
Absolutely, and that's the energy that we're trying to pull together, because this voice needs to be heard. There are many other voices out there, and so we need to pull ours together to begin to have even a stronger impact. And that comes when we are united, we're clear about what it is that we're doing, we're sharing, we're learning from each other. It's a team effort. Every effort matters, and we can begin to share and take a notice of what's going on and say maybe we can apply it in our own area. And so continue then to make it spread like the mustard seed. You have no idea, with the grace of God, what will happen. And our Saint Francis has said, first do what you can, and then you'll find to do what's essential, and then before you know it, you're doing the impossible. And that's what we're about when we're bringing together. Everything is interconnected.
Thank you very much, Sister Sheila, to animate the sisters. And in our website, we are showing right now one of the 3 posters that we prepared to print it, to share it in our social media, to print it in our community. So it's like a remind for us, of our commitment towards our common home. And as you can see, we are working through this campaign with other partners. We are not inventing something from zero. We are working with a partner, Catholic Climate Movement, that already has a lot of resources within its website. So we are working together, not to add some other, but to be more in connection. So, Sister Sheila, I would like also to ask you one other thing. I heard some comments from the live webinar that we had in June 18 about 2 key words, that is formation and awareness. How we can help our sisters to be trained in this field, and how we can help to increase the awareness within the congregation towards the planet.
Well, I think that's the importance of the webinars, and we need to know how people are able to access those webinars. Maybe it's a WhatsApp, or as one of the things that we had mentioned in our objective is to find out what are the best communication channels. And then as we're looking at the information, the Laudato Si, to really take that as a major document to reflect on, to share on, with one another, to see what rises up within our hearts, to really feel that God is calling us. I mean, Pope Francis has called us, but I feel that this is, in our day and age, this is a tremendous need. So we want to be open to that experience. And so we will be folding this in on the webinars that are listed there, but we may find, you know, as we said, we already have one coming up that's not listed there because we feel that this could be helpful. So as moving forward, too, as people are beginning to share what they have already done, we may find some information out there that will be helpful in this formation as well. And then we have programs, for example, for JPIC formation program that we have in November. That's in all over. That's in the range of JPIC, not just the care for creation, but that it shows other aspects that are interconnected with our care of the planet.
That's right, Sister Sheila, and I'm also thinking the synod in 2019 about the Amazon, you know, so it might,
Yes, yeah,
it might be
that,
key
yeah,
topic for us.
yes, that's the key topic, and I'm aware that that's taking place, and already connection has been made to our office to be involved in it in some way. So that will come more to light, and you will be also receiving information from other connections that we have in terms of the environmental concerns, the particular areas of conflict, or anything else that relates to the connection between the environment and social concerns, which is, you know, mostly everything, really.
That's right, that's right. And I just checked on internet 2 days ago that in June 9th, the document of, I mean, the preparation document is already out in different
Yes.
languages for the synod
Yeah.
in 2019. So we can read it and, you know, and start to reflect. So thank
Yes.
you very much, Sister Sheila. It's just the first step towards, you know, other webinars. As you can see, this is the brochure. So we have other dates for webinars in different languages. So they won't be just in English, and the material, the resources, you will find it in the free website. They will be in English, Spanish, Italian, and French, and I insist, I hope also in Portuguese. But we have another appointment that is very close, that is July the 9th and 9:30 in the morning, Rome time. We will meet Sister Sheila and other people who will be participating the Congress that the Dicastery for Human Development is planning for the 3rd anniversary of the Laudato Si. So it will be a very important follow-up, the webinar July the 9th, but we will send out the invitation to all our members and sisters and fathers too. So you can participate and listen what is happening in the world, you know, to work for our home. That is not just the planet, it's our house that is completely different, you know. So thank you very much, Sister Sheila, again. And as you can see here, you have an email where Sister Sheila is happy to answer your questions, your doubts. So you can send also material that we can, resources that we can share in our website. So thank you very much. I don't know, Sheila, if you want to just add something at the end.
No, I just want to thank them for their participation in this. And this is a work, you know, the work of God that we are trying to do together. So thank you very much. God bless. And we will be in this together. We will be journeying, walking together, and making the path together as we move along. And we will be celebrating too these efforts as well. God bless you all.
Thank you, Sister Sheila. I just repeat the slogan and the title of the campaign, Sowing Hope for the Planet. Everything is interconnected. Thank you very much to all for listening, and share this webinar with your communities.